Hi, friends.
Hi, friends. Welcome to our basement again. It's been super busy the past couple weeks. I've been working a lot, and I thought it would be good to just kind of sit down and talk about it.
Yeah, and it's kind of a funny time too because, well, we're into mid-February now, but like January, early February is usually kind of a slow time in real estate, but we are seeing a little surge. Why do you think that is?
I think it's just, the end of last year was pretty quiet. A lot of listings sat on the market for a long time. And with the new year, there's just like a reinvigorated energy out there. And people are like, new house, new home. Sounds super cliche, but I'm definitely feeling that sentiment from people.
Yeah, and I think some of it's like getting through the election, for example, and realizing that we're all still alive, and the continuing normalization of interest rates. They're sitting at around 7%, and people are no longer like waiting for that to maybe come down. Sort of,
it doesn't look like it's going to.
I think it will continue
eventually.
A slight downward trajectory, but nothing really significant is projected.
It's not going to be like 5% by the end of the year or anything.
Yeah. So we're just we're super grateful, by the way, that we've got a lot of buyers and sellers coming to us to help make the move. So you have submitted a number of offers recently, and talk a little bit about
nothing under contract.
Talk a little bit about how competitive it's been.
It's very competitive. I've submitted a lot of offers in the past couple of weeks, and
strong offers. We've been in the running.
Great offers. Submitted one just a couple days ago where we did a pre-inspection
What does that
on
mean?
the house. It means that we did an inspection before submitting the offer. It was a fixer-upper, so there was no seller provided pre-inspection to rely on. So we did our own. We waived all contingencies. We released earnest money early. We went all out, and still, like, the listing agent barely gave me a phone call to say that we didn't get it.
I think you were like second place.
Yeah.
You weren't like way out of the running.
No,
it was a really
wasn't
strong offer. We're working with clients who are ready to compete, and so that is helpful. But it's frustrating for everybody, and I think we could talk about this just for a minute, just so it can help set expectations if you're thinking about getting into the market. In a situation like this, in a very competitive market, inspections, very often homes that are expected to be competitive, the seller will get a pre-inspection where they hire an inspector to inspect the property, and then they'll share that information publicly, so you know what's wrong with everything, what's in really good shape, what needs work, maybe what they've done recently. And to be honest, it really is annoying when people don't do that.
Yeah. It's when I tell people about this, they're always like, "What? I have to rely on an inspection that's been paid for by the seller," which does sound a little weird. But it's done by a third party. It's generally trustworthy. It's usually very obvious when it's not trustworthy. But yeah, when people don't do this, then buyer has to potentially do multiple inspections on multiple houses before they get an offer accepted, and it costs a lot of money.
That's the point I was wanting to get is the buyers do pay for this. If you're the inspections that you do on potential homes that you're offering, you pay for an inspection out of pocket. It's generally $500 to $700, maybe, let's say. So I just wanted to mention that as like a tip, like factor that in when you're starting your house hunting journey. I like to tell people to factor in a lot of things that maybe you don't think about. Like, a lot of people get really worried about, I want to move right at this time because that's when my lease ends. And it's like, yeah, okay, but let's make the biggest financial decision of your life a really good one. And if that means paying, an overlapping month or that higher month-to-month rent for a couple months, let's do that instead. To make sure we make a really good decision on the house that you're buying.
That's a good point.
So factor that in. Factor in that you might be paying for a few inspections. And you were talking about like relying on the seller's inspection when the seller gets an inspection ahead of time. That's true. But also you, as a buyer, can do your own inspection, and that's typically something we recommend that in a competitive market that you do before you make the offer. So, it's kind of a deep dive into inspections there.
Yeah.
But that's why it's so frustrating when you have our buyers did like pay out of their pocket for that inspection ahead of time in order to submit the strongest offer possible and to still not get it, it does make it extra hard. We hate, we really try to avoid people spending money that they don't have to.
Yeah.
But, that's the way it goes in this market.
Yeah. I thought that some of the data released by the NWMLS was really interesting for the past couple months. At the end of the year, the average sales price in Seattle just plummeted. It dropped to like $75,000, which we don't see that often. Some could say it was a little market mini crash. I think it's going to bounce back really fast. It already has. But it is interesting to see, and I talk about this sometimes where all of this data is really outdated. So we still haven't seen a release of numbers where that has bounced back. So you pull up the average price in Seattle and it's a lot lower than it actually is right now.
No, that's why it's important to work with a realtor that has a number of years of experience, because for example, that you're looking at slightly outdated data and can advise like, hey, we're boots on the ground. We know that there has been a bit of a course correction already heading into spring. So let's make offers based on the reality, not based on the most recent data, which happens to be a month outdated. But yeah, so it's just on a personal note, kind of it's frustrating a little bit to be so busy and just to have it be so hard to win offers for clients. But
yeah, it's like we're spinning our wheels a little bit, and I know our clients feel the same too.
Yeah, so I think it's like a lot of our job is managing expectations, and I think that this kind of intensity will continue probably through spring.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so we just wanted to do like kind of a shorter podcast to talk a little bit about what the market's feeling like right now. I think another kind of interesting, sort of related to the real estate market is some of you know that we're working on our own renovation project right now on what's going to be a long-term rental property for us. And even just in the past week, I would say I've felt this shift with some of our vendor service providers who, a month ago, on our own renovation project and some projects that we're managing for clients, a month ago, people were like, yeah, I can get in there tomorrow and start painting the house for you and replace those windows and do those repairs. And someone I met with at our house just yesterday, we were talking to someone who we want to install our siding for us. And he was like, so when do you want this done? And I was like, the answer is always as soon as possible. But I could already kind of get that sense that spring home renovation
ramping up
is happening, and so it'll be a little bit harder to get some of those estimates and repairs and renovations done.
I've been feeling the time crunch a little bit on this renovation project. I'm like, maybe I should just hire siding out, hire a couple things.
Well, we should have done that 2 months ago when it was a slower time.
Now.
Yeah, because now that we're like a little bit tired of being in constant renovation, it's like it's almost too late. Not too late. It's just hiring it out. It's going to take longer than it would have if we jumped on it 6 weeks ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's kind of this trickle down effect from the real estate market into these other industries, related industries. So that's kind of the news.
Yeah, I think that's great. Just wanted to do a quick little sit down update.
If you have questions that you'd like to submit for us to address in future podcast episodes, that would be really cool. Maybe we can plug that like on Instagram too, to just address what people actually want to know.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay, if you're thinking about making a home in Seattle, send us a message. Let's work together.
Bye.